Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome back to the Sing Strength podcast, episode 2. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode. A few of you reached out, so thank you. Just try to make the content better as we go forward. And a lot of this podcast is just me sharing my thoughts and whatever is going on and what I'm interested in. Um, Not really sure if there's a purpose to this, but what I want to do is just create something that I enjoy and share what I enjoy with everyone else. And one of the things that I really enjoyed this week is the Basics of Sikhi TV podcast, so BOS TV podcast, and uh, they put out really great content. The Singhs there. By Jeevan Paul Singh and the other Singhs, they put unbelievable content out. I've had it's had a really great impact on me, right? ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਹੋਰ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਵੱਧਦੀਆਂ ਤੇ you want to do advance more in your Sikhi, and it's a really good resources. So the two podcasts that I really enjoyed this week from them was, one is the Education of Sikhs, where they interviewed by Satnam Singh, and it's a really interesting, because by Satnam Singh, he's from Norway, I believe. I might be getting that wrong, but I think it's Norway, and he wrote a book recently, and it goes through the political science teachings of the Khalsa. So what Guru Gobind Singh Ji had taught the Singhs, and what kind of books and what kind of Granths there was translated, and Guru Gobind Singh Ji used to have, including what was interesting, like a children's book which goes through like different fables using animals as examples. So that's the kind of political science and like teachings that Guru Sahib had in their darbar, right? And that's a lot of the stuff that sometimes we miss out on. And Guru Sahib was preparing us for the world as well, right? The spiritual world, but also making sure that our dharma was in a good spot, which it always is, because Guru Sahib di kirpa hegi hai, Guru Sahib da pantha, so Guru Sahib ne aapde chaddi kala vich rakhe sare Singh, and they're going to continue to do so. But it was interesting because that's something that we might not know. So that was one of the more interesting podcasts that I've heard. And there was by Man Singh was there from the Sikh History podcast, which is another great podcast, and he asked some really great questions. And it was just by Jeevan Paul Singh was there, so it was like it's a really good conversation. It was lighthearted, but it was also very informative, and I really enjoyed that. The other one was with by Resham Singh of Virasat organization, and what they're doing is they're working on the architectural and preserving of Sikhistan. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਰਾਤਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਅਸਥਾਨ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ that haven't been altered, that haven't been whitewashed, that haven't been changed much, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ restoration ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ. So one of the projects they're working on is Kavi Santokh Singh's Haveli, where Raja Pai Uday Singh gave them this Haveli to write Dasan Guruan da Itihas. So that building, that Haveli in which Dasan Pasha da Itihas was written, it was a very torn down building. There was people smoking in it. There was a lot of abuse going on with that building. It wasn't upkept. And there's a lot of buildings like this which we haven't upkept. And by Resham Singh was explaining, and Gyani Sher Singh was the one who actually went forward and made sure that that building was purchased. And now Virasat organization is doing the restoration project for that building. So they're going to make it back in the Pratan way, with the Pratan bricks and everything else, so that we can see our history, see the physical places like they used to be. So we don't, like, there's a few examples that they gave which were very good examples. Like there's things like Jimmy Chamkaur Sahib di Gadi. The Gurdwara Sahib now doesn't look anything like the Gadi would have looked, right? So sometimes it could be hard to imagine, right? ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਤਾਂ imagination ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਵੜਦੀ ਹੈ. You can make the Gadi, but the physical place doesn't represent what it was like, right? So ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪੂਰੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੋਣੀ, but at the same time, right, ਉੱਥੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਖੂਨ ਡੁੱਲਿਆ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ ਫੀਲਿੰਗ ਤਾਂ ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਆ. but there would be more of a feeling ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ like in perspective ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਣ, right? So they go through a lot of really good examples of like how we should be restoring our ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਰਾਤਨ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ and what we can do, the ones that haven't been altered. So they're working on a few projects, so it's a really good podcast to look at. And I was speaking about by Man Singh from the Sikh History podcast, and one of the things that I found really interesting is we were at the Gursevak camp over the summer, and I was going through some of the like Panth Prakash history with some of the kids, some of the Sakhiyan, right? And there was one kid that just knew everything, and I was like I ਸਾਡੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਿ like I love listening to history is probably the first way like ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹਾਂ, right? So I would ask my mom to read me or tell me ਚਮਕੌਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਗੜੀ like story every single like night almost, right? And that's how ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਸੁਣ ਸਾਖੀ ਮਨ ਜਪ ਪਿਆਰ, right? That's the first way that I fell in love with Sikhi is through our history, right? So by Man Singh in the Sikh History podcast, this kid, he was telling me like all this history, like everything I was going to tell him, he was telling me beforehand. And I was like, that's pretty crazy. Like, where did he learn all this stuff from, right? Because I love Panth Prakash, and I listened to Panth Prakash maybe like 5 or 6 times maybe. And I'm actually starting to listen to it again. And it's just like the Chardi Kala spirit that you get from listening to Panth Prakash. And like, if you want to like improve your mental health, Panth Prakash is the best way to do it, because you see like Singha na ki attitude, see ki the fearlessness, the ability to like not be afraid of anything, right? Aapde aap nu khuda samjhde sige, right? As which they should, right? As Guru Sahib de Singh, right? Guru Sahib te maana ki as a Guru Sahib de Singh, and that's how Singh should feel. So this kid, I asked him like, how do you know all this stuff? And he was like, I listened to the Sikh History podcast, right? And I was like, wow, that's amazing, right? And Pai Man Singh also did like Jamkaur Sahib the Yudh in English, right? So the people general Punjabi nahi samjhe, and it's like really good, and it's like you get that feeling, right? There's like a beat behind it, but then sari jang di feeling aa jandi hai, right? And my nephews listened to it as well, and they really enjoyed it, right? So that's something that I would recommend everyone listening to. In particular, je tunu English is samjh aandi hai. If you don't understand Punjabi, I would listen to that. The other great podcast that the Basics of Sikhi channel does, and this is my absolute favorite podcast, is the Gurmukh podcast with Bhai Jeevanpal Singh. And like, I feel like that podcast has done more for my Sikhi than almost anything. And it's just been unbelievable, right? This Sangat the Sikhi inspiration hi hunde, right? You need that fuel, right? The Sangat gives you that fuel to keep going, because it's a very hard path, right? Kaljog puts lots of obstacles. So you want to keep going, you want to keep pushing yourself. You need that constant inspiration from Sangat. That's what you should be looking to Sangat for, right? Is inspiration. Ki tanu Sangat to inspiration mile ki everywhere you look, thode to kinne chaddi kala wale gursikh thanu dekhan, right? If we start looking at the flaws, I think I might have talked about this last week, but we vichar assi Singha na karde hunne ki all of us has flaws, right? Because je apan nu nahi flaw hunde, we wouldn't be in this 84 cycle, right? We wouldn't be coming back and forth, and we wouldn't be in this body right now. So all of us have some kind of flaw, right, that we're working through. The je apan flaw hi le lene ha, then we're not going to move very far, right? We're not going to move very far in our Sikhi. But if we take the good out of everyone, right, we're going to move. You get that inspiration from the Sangat. You see the Sangat doing seva, you see them doing part, you do that. Thoda cha vada ki asi bhi kariye, right? And that's the whole purpose of Sangat, right? And we need to make sure that ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਆਵੇ, and that's something that I've recently just really started to love, right? And ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਨਾਲ ਵੱਧਦਾ, ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਵੱਧਦਾ, right? And Sant Baba Inderjeet Singh Rakpewale, they also say that I was listening there, it was like a short or something, and they say there's 2 types of filters, and briefly ek da shaj hundi hai, the one that they like beat like at vyas, right? Or shaj hundi hai jehde nanke aake they beat it up. But that type of filter is when you're filtering it out, the good stuff, the stuff you want to keep, stays in the shaj, right? And the bad stuff goes away, right? And they were like, you want to be that kind of filter, right? The other type of filter is like a cha pony, so you put the cha like through, and all the bad stuff that you don't want stays in the filter. So they were like, you want to be the filter that keeps the good stuff and throws away the bad stuff, not the other way around. Which it's a very easy to be. It's very easy to be like, so you're listening to someone or you're seeing someone, right? That ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਸਾਰੇ bad ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਆਈ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ, because we all have bad stuff, right? There's no one other than ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਏ ਵੇ ਨਿਤ ਅਵਤਾਰ, right? ਔਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਗਿਆਨ ਦੀ ਅਵਸਥਾ ਪਾ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ, there's no one that doesn't have flaws, right? So we have to be careful of that and not see those things, right? Oh cheejan, we should filter those out like the shaj, right? So again, the Gurmukh podcast is the best podcast I've ever listened to, right? And it's really progressed my Sikhi as well as my love for Guru Granth Sahib Ji in particular, right? And I'll give you a few examples, but again, inspiration is just very important, and Sangat is very important for that inspiration in Kaljug, right? Because Kaljug is going to try everything, and that's why Guru Sahib puts so much emphasis on Sangat, right? This is not something you can do alone. It Sangat naal hi hona kam. So like we're very blessed in Toronto that we have such good Sangat, right? I sometimes think ki ye bahut zyada Guru Sahib di kirpa hai. I talked about it a little bit last week as well, but like if we were living in some kind of town ਜਿੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਸੰਗਤ, right, that would be extremely difficult. So ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ keep in mind ਕਿ if you're in a good place with good sangat, right, be very thankful of that, because not everyone has that. And then going back to the Gurmukh podcast, one of my favorite podcasts is a podcast of Sant Baba Nand Singh Ji Nanaksar Wale. And they really go through in detail about the love for Guru Granth Sahib Ji, right, and the relationship Baba Ji has with Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And that's had a very big effect on me, because there was times where I didn't really know how to look at Guru Granth Sahib Ji, right? Guru Sahib Ji, Guru Granth Sahib Ji, mande apa matha tekde hain, right? But the love and the prem wasn't always like 100%, right? Haje bhi nahi, like I can't say ki haje bhi 100% हैगा, but it's improved quite a bit, right? To the point where it's बहुत ज़्यादा enjoyable वो चीज़ लगती है कि गुरु साहिब दे दर्शन करने, right? So one of the things that they said is like, I don't know where I heard this might have been from something else, but when we see someone's like good qualities, right, ਜਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ good qualities, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਉਹਦਾ ਵੱਧਦਾ, right? We start to love that more. Whatever we see good qualities in is what we love, right? So ਜਦੋਂ Sant Baba Nand Singh Ji, they used to do ardas when they would refer to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. They would say Hadra Hazur, Zehra Zahur, Naam ke Jahaj, Kaljug ke Bohte, Dasam Pashan Ji di Saroop, right? So when you say these things, you see Guru Granth Sahib, you say these things, right? When you say like they're always present, Dasam Pashan de Saroop, when you say they are Kaljug ke Bohte, Naam ke Jahaj, right? The Naam that we are searching for, that Kaljug we are trying to cross over, right? That's Guru Granth Sahib Ji. ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਥੋੜਾ ਫਿਰ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ is the true guru, right? ਤੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ, we haven't done a good job, right? But we need to spread Guru Granth Sahib Ji. ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, right? That's the reason why we haven't told the world about Guru Granth Sahib Ji, is because we don't believe in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Even though we say that Guru Granth Sahib Ji is our guru, we don't necessarily believe like the power of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪੁਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਇਜ਼ ਕਲਯੁਗ ਕੇ ਜਹਾਜ਼, ਰਾਈਟ? ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਇਜ਼ ਨਾਮ ਕੇ ਦਾਤੇ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਐਂਡ we really need to push that, right? And yeah, sorry, I remember where I had heard about the good quality. That was Sant Baba Varyam Singh Ji in their Atam Marg tapes, which are again really great resource, where they lay out the path of getting salvation, right? And they say what the good qualities or what you praise is what you fall in love with and what you do prem with, right? And what you become close to. So it's very important ਕਿ ਉਹ ਥੋੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਹੋਵੇ. This is similar to ਜਿਵੇਂ ਨਾ ਮੂਲ ਮੰਤਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਪਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਮੂਲ ਮੰਤਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੇ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀਜ਼ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਆਲ ਦ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀਜ਼ ਆਫ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਦੈਨ ਆਪਣਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ, ਆਪਣਾ ਚਾਅ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਮਿਲਾਪ ਕਰੀਏ, ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਵੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਟੂ ਹੀਅਰ ਥੀਸ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀਜ਼, ਵੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਟੂ focus on these qualities, right? And another one of my personal experiences is there's this Naam Abhyasi, that was a very Uchi Avastha Bibi Man Kaur, right? And the first time I met her, right, I had gone to a point where like मैं थोड़ा जिहा नास्तिक बन गया सी. I would say even more like पत्थर दिल, stone hearted नास्तिक, right? पर Guru Sahib ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਵਾਤੀ, right? And we met her, and what we hear is jin prem kiyo tin hi prab payo, right? And if our goal is to meet Vaheguru, right, and prem is the key, we should know what prem is, right? So मैं बीबी जी ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ बीबी जी prem ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ, right? And it seems like a simple ordinary question, right? But I tend to ask those questions because if that is the key to the solution, you should have a good understanding of what it is, right? Je ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ, right, you can't be afraid to ask the questions. So BBG laughed because she thought it was such a, I don't know if she thought it was an elementary question, but BBG laughed. But ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾ like ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਾਂ people ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ laugh ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, it like inside ਤੋਂ ਥੋੜਾ like it shakes you up, right? Like sometimes when you hear Bhakt Jaswant Singh ji laugh, right, it's like it just shakes your whole like spirit, soul, body, and it's almost like, you know, like you're hearing God laugh himself. And it's ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਲਾਫ ਸੀਗਾ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, wherever you spend your time, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ. Similar to the example we talked about, the qualities you see, right? So ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੇ 2 ਟਾਈਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਿਆ ਕਰੋ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਮਾਰਨਿੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਨਾਈਟ. ਐਂਡ ਫਰੋਮ ਦੈਟ ਡੇ ਫੋਰਵਰਡ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੋਰ ਦਾ ਮੋਸਟ ਪਾਰਟ ਉਹ ਭਜਨ 'ਤੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਐਂਡ ਦੈਟਸ ਹੈਡ ਅ ਟਰਮੈਂਡਸ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਔਨ ਮਾਈ ਲਾਈਫ, ਰਾਈਟ? I'm not like someone who's reached some ultimate stage, right? ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ. I'm just saying ਕਿ it's helped me progress, right? The whole purpose here is ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੀਏ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਆਪ ਵੀ ਜੁੜੀਏ, ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਜੋੜੀਏ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਆਪਾਂ ਲੈਟਸ ਵਾਕ ਔਨ ਦਿਸ ਪੈਥ, ਦ ਪਰਪਸ we're here for. ਅਤੇ ਬੀਬੀ ਮਾਨ ਕੌਰ ਸੈਡ 2 ਟਾਈਮ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਲ spend ਕਰੋ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ. ਐਂਡ ਇਨ ਕਲਯੁਗ, ਰਾਈਟ, there is an example of this as well, right? Like a boat can, if you look at a boat, right, 90% of the boat is underwater, but that 10% allows it to float, right? So even if we spend 10% of our time with Guru Sahib, right, the idea is that we will still float across, right? Guru Sahib physically as well as mentally, Guru Sahib na time spend karna, te vadda jauga, right? And you will achieve salvation, right? So the other example of like ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ, where you close with, right? Sant Baba Harnam Singh talks about this as well, and they're like calm is extremely dangerous, right? ਪਰ calm ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, right? One of the things we need to understand is ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣਾ ਨੇੜਤਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੋਹ ਪੈ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਫਿਰ ਉਦੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚੋਂ calm ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ. So if we're spending a lot of our time with the opposite gender, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ is natural, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ, right? So if you're young or you're going through university, high school, right, be aware of that. ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ you shouldn't be doing that, right? Not even talking, ਇਕੱਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਦੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ, right? ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ, if you want to walk on this spiritual path, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ, right? To the point where when Bhakt Ji would go through airports, he would cover his eyes, right? The ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ, right? They're doing that to show us ਕਿ you have to be very aware. And there's like these 2 letters that like sasse that keep repeating in my head. ਇੱਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਵਧਾਨ, right? ਸਾਵਧਾਨ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਰਹੋ. And what does that mean? Savdhan means like be aware, be alert, right? ਤਿਆਰ ਬਰ ਤਿਆਰ, ਪਰ be alert, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਲਯੁਗ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, 5 ਚੋਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, they can come at any time and they can drop you and they can take you over at any time. It doesn't matter what level you reach, they can come. So ਸਾਵਧਾਨ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ, right? ਉਹ ਸਾਵਧਾਨ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ fight, right? ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸੋ ਜੋ ਕਰੇ ਨਿਤ ਜੰਗ, ਸਾਵਧਾਨ ਰਹੋ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ you have to, ਰਾਈਟ there's no other way ਕਲਯੁਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਵਧਾਨ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਆ ਰਾਈਟ ਤੇ ਦੂਜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੁਤੰਤਰ ਰਾਈਟ ਸੁਤੰਤਰ ਮੀਨਸ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਰਾਈਟ ਫਰੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦਾ ਸਪਿਰਿਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਰਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਦਾ ਸੁਤੰਤਰ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਰਾਈਟ ਸੋ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਨੇ ਸੁਤੰਤਰ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ those two words are just in my head this past week, so that's why I'm sharing them with you, right? But again, I'm going to share a few examples like just from my life because I think ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਉਸਤਤ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੇਜ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਾ enough, and I want to share that because if we share our personal experiences with Guru Sahib and what happens when we see Guru Sahib, right, ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਆਊਗਾ ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੇਥ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੋਊਗਾ and I think that's so important ਕਿਉਂਕਿ Guru Sahib is our Guru. So like let's say on a worldly level, like if we were to find some kind of medicine or something that makes us feel significantly better, right, that makes us takes away our pain, that makes us mentally, physically better in every single way, right, ਜੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਭੇ ਕੋਈ ਦਵਾਈ, right, we would be telling our neighbors, we would be telling our parents, we would be telling everyone ਕਿ ਆਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ and we should all do it, right, you should do it because this is great, this vitamin makes me feel so much better or whatever it is, right. But we don't do that for Guru Sahib, right? Guru Sahib gives us all those things, but we don't share with anyone else. Well, I don't at least. Some of you might, but we don't share ki Guru Sahib in a great hage, right? As great as Guru Sahib is the Jagd Guru, right? The one that's going to save us in Kaljug, the only one capable of doing this, right? We don't share that with enough people. We don't share that message of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, right? That's going to save the entire world. So ਉਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ and one of the things that I've seen with Guru Sahib is if you take one step towards Guru Sahib, right, like I'm gonna Guru Sahib ਮੈਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਲੇ ਉੱਠਣਾ, Guru Sahib ਮੈਂ bad food ਛੱਡਣਾ, Guru Sahib ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਬਾਣੀ ਹੋਰ ਪੜ੍ਹਨੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਨਾਮ ਕਰਨਾ, Guru Sahib will literally take thousands of steps towards you and you will feel this, you will feel that Guru Sahib is getting closer and closer to you. They will start to remove obstacles out of your way, right. And there's one really good story that I like, and it's the story of the king of Mandi, right. Mandi ਦਾ ਰਾਜਾ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਆਇਆ ਸੀ and ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ at that time was reading ਦੱਖਣੀ ਅੰਕਾਰ ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ and ਉਹ ਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਲੇਖ ਨਾ ਮਿਟੇ ਹੇ ਸਕੀ ਜੋ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਕਰਤਾਰ, right. And the Raja had that question in his mind ki if what God has already written cannot be changed, then what is the point of doing any of this spiritual stuff? What is the point of having a guru, right? The Guru Arjan Dev Ji, the story is long, but Guru Arjan Dev Ji basically takes him through his next few lives where he's no longer the king, he's in a poor family, right, and he shows them all these things in his sleep and in reality, right. And then the Raja asked Guru Sahib, he's like, what is going on? Like, what is this, right? It feels so real. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, this was your next life, right? This is what was supposed to happen. But because you became the Guru da Sikh, right? So it's the example ki Guru Sahib jehde hege oh cheeਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੋਣੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, but what they do is they take a sui, they take a soul which is a spear and they make it into a sui, right. So ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਥੋੜੇ ਚੁੱਭਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਚੀਜ਼, but it was supposed to be the spear, right. And a spear and a needle are not comparable, right. A spear will kill you and a needle will give you a little bit of pain, but that's what Guru Sahib does for his Sikhs, right. And this has happened to me many times in my life. Guru Sahib de asare te a lot of difficult things have become super easy, right. And that's one of the things that I think that's the purpose ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਾਹਤੋਂ ਤਾਰੀਏ, ਆਪਾਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਕਾਹਤੋਂ ਛਕੀਏ, ਇਸ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪਦੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, right, not just here but in the next life, right. And so like one time I had a really bad car accident. I fell asleep while driving and I was quite sleep deprived at the time, and my car went really fast into the ditch, flying, and it flipped 2 or 3 times over the top to the point the car was unrecognizable. There was nothing left of this car, right. It was a total write-off, which doesn't mean much these days, but it was completely destroyed to the point where the police officers and the firefighters were asking, like, who was in this car, right? They were expecting to find a dead body, right? And when I told them it was me in this car, they did not, like, they didn't believe that I was in this car. They didn't believe that, because I walked out without a single scratch, right? Like nothing, no damage, nothing. I didn't even go to the hospital. And there, this car, whoever should have been in this car should have not survived. And they were so shocked and surprised. And like they absolutely could not believe what had happened, right? ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਅਸੀਂ ਐਟ ਦੈਟ ਟਾਈਮ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਸਾਡੇ it was just ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, and like flying through the air, like I thought like this might be the end, right? But Guru Sahib ne rakha kiti when we landed, like without a scratch, walked out, and no injury, no nothing. So it, we don't know what that was supposed to be, but in my opinion, Guru Sahib ne rakha kiti hai, right? Oh, jehdi sool siga oh sui banati. Even examples, like other examples, like simple examples, like I feel like these things happen, right? I feel like one time I was late going to the Gurdwara, and the road just immediately became clear, all green lights, right? And I arrived on time, right? Even stuff like that, like, oh, Guru Sahib vart rahe hai, right? Sometimes we don't feel that that's what's happening, but it is what's happening, right? And then another example is my son. He's not speaking yet. He's 4 years old, and he doesn't completely communicate. And potty training him was quite difficult, and we spent a lot of time trying to do it, but we were always unsuccessful, right? And then one day I did Ardas, and this is the importance of Ardas, ki like, Guru Sahib, I can't do this, right? This is not something that I'm capable of, right? If you want to do it, tusi kar do, right? And then immediately that impossible thing to do got done, right? And is completely impossible to do. The wo bhi cheez hogi, right? So and it happened very quickly, right? Guru Sahib ਦੀ ਦਾਤ ਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ again ਜਿਹੜੇ very difficult ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਸੌਖੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ. So again, building that relationship with Guru Sahib, even if you don't feel anything with Guru Sahib, just start spending some time with Guru Sahib, right? ਤੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਜਾਊਗਾ, to the point ਕਿ I truly believe ਕਿ like ਥੋੜਾ ਪਾਰਾ ਤਾਰਾ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ, right? If you do that, right? ਤੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ, there's no doubt in my mind, if you do that for long enough, you're gonna achieve your salvation, right? It's only a matter of time. ਇੱਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਬਚਨ ਤੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ, right? So ਜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਛਕੋ, ਸਿੰਘ ਬਣੋ, ਰਹਿਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹੋ, you have to do that stuff, right? Guru da bachan manana is the number one thing, right? Bachan manana is everything. And that's another podcast I listened to by Simandeep Singh shared that Sant Baba Jagjit Singh, I believe, Harkowal wale, they did a katha, and it was all about like bachan manana, right? ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਚਨ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਚਨ ਮੰਨਣੇ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਤੇ it was a very good like very good, not a podcast, it was a katha, so not everything's a podcast, but it was very enjoyable ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਬਚਨ ਮੰਨਣੇ, right? Yeah, but just going back to the basics of Sikhi, one of the things you see about Basis of Sikhi is the organization that Bhai Jagraj Singh ji built, right? Bhai Jagraj Singh ji had this vision, right? Ki asi Sikhi da prachar kariye, right? We push out the Sikhi prachar, and what he did was amazing, right? And his organization lives past him, which is a great sign of a great leader, right? Ki jehdi cheez tusi build kiti can outlive you, right? And it's I feel like it's grown, right? But this Bhai Jagraj Singh was so fearless, right? If you think about like ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨੇ street ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ, right? They would go to those speaker corners against those Muslims, like ਅੱਜ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੰਜ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਦਾ, right? They went to places where like people were being converted and they were being brainwashed, and ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਆਪਦੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ. They didn't know their own basic things, so they were just like they would cower to these things. They didn't have the answers, right? They were being told that their religion is fake, and they had no answers to this because they hadn't spent time doing this, or no one had taught them. And some of them even converted. But by Jigraj Singh, like with that stuff, with the Vaiguru course, he made it so, like very basic stuff so that Sikhs could stand up for themselves. And then he went and did it himself. He went to those speaker corners, right? And he was such a share in that aspect, right? And Bhai Jigraj Singh, I had the opportunity to meet him a few times, right? And he was like the first thing you notice is this guy loves the Panth. This guy loves Sikhi and he loves the Panth, right? He wants to push this message of Sikhi to everyone. He wants this to be not kept to Sikhs, right? He truly walked that path, right? And I my first piece of gym equipment that I got was at my house, like Sade Kare Langar Siga by Jigraj Singh came, and it was the first piece. I don't have that piece anymore, but first piece by Jigraj Singh was very happy that like I was starting a gym at my house, right? And he did pull-ups on the it was a squat rack with a pull-up bar. He did pull-ups on the bar. It was really nothing, right? But that's something that that sticks with me, right? And he encouraged me that that's something that I really remember about them. And he always asked what more can we do about the like Panth, right? And like how can we push for Khalsa Raj, and Khalsa Raj not just more than Khalistan, right? Khalsa Raj in terms of Duniya te Khalsa da Raj. And that Raj is through Amrit Prachar. That Raj is through being an example of a good Gursikh, right? You don't need to do much. Jab ਤੁਸੀਂ Gursikhi aap tarde hain, right? Oh, that thing is what people will want. They will want that, right? And jab ਤੁਸੀਂ Amrit Prachar ਕਰਦੇ hain, when you spread that, right? That's what we talked about Sant Baba Batar Singh ji last time. That's what they did, right? And we'll talk about them a little bit more later on as well, right? But to that point, like that was Bhai Jigraj Singh's mission, right? So what is the mission of Singh Strength, right? Singh Strength, the mission is why we're training hard, why we want Singhs, is because we've gone far away from our martial tradition, right? Our martial tradition that was unquestionable at a certain point. Now I think it is questionable. So ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, right? The whole thing that sticks in my mind is when we look at our itihas and our fighting history, if someone asks us today, or someone questions that today, कि ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਆ, or you guys are not like that now, your stories must be fake, right? What would we say, right? Like if we look at Bhai Sukha Singh's story where he goes and fights with the Gilje when they come and challenge the Singhs, who would stand up today if they came, right? Who would fight today? Uh, that's something that we need to think about. And it's like Sikhs used to stand up for everyone. Sareyan waste dekhbhal karde si. Nowadays Sikhs can't do that, right? No one comes to Sikhs, first of all, and Sikhs can't even look at themselves, right? They can't protect themselves. If something happens, they can't do what they need to do, right? And Sikh ਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ spirit ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ nothing even happens because they know a Singh is around, right? So that's what we want to really work on getting to, right? And make sure that we can work on that. So we're going to start with small steps. Ek ਤਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ fitness ਵਿੱਚ ਆਈਏ. We should be aware of what we're eating. We should start to get fit slowly, right? In my mind, this is a 3-generational problem, right? Where we're gonna have to fix this over 3 generations. Pehla ta a generation get healthy, get back on track, get physically fit. Second generation start pushing to get elite, right? And the third generation become elite, right? If we look at the best fighters in the world, Sikhan da kite nahi na, right? Today, right? So what can we do about that, right? Where we have elite status, where people look at us and they're like, these guys are the most fearsome warriors in the world. And that's the goal. Guru Sahib kirpa karan ki ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ spirit back. Guru Sahib ਦਾ spirit ਹੈ. Guru Sahib ਤਪ ਤੇਜ ਬਖਸ਼ਣ ਵਾਲੇ, right? And Guru Sahib says when my Sikhs are in ਰਹਿਤ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਪ ਤੇਜ ਬਖਸ਼ੂੰਗਾ, right? So ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਰਹਿਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਆਈਏ, we follow those steps as best as we can. ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤਪ ਤੇਜ ਵੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਣਗੇ, and then we don't need to worry about anything, right? ਰਾਜ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ, ਤਪ ਤੇਜ ਵੀ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ, right? So we just have to follow, and we have to follow Guru Sahib's hukam. We can't keep asking for stuff and not follow Guru Sahib's hukam. So that's what we're trying to do with the Singh Strength channel, right? Is eventually create or be world renowned again in our fighting spirit, right? As well as in nowadays, like, start to build those good habits and do it over 3 generations, right? I also want to share a few of the books that like time to time books that I've enjoyed, or podcasts like I did with Basics of Sikhi. One of the books that I really enjoyed, audiobook that I listened to at mahapurk.com, which is again a Gursevak SoundCloud page. So mahapurk.com on SoundCloud, you can find a lot of great audiobooks about the Sant Savar Panth, right? And why I really like books is because sorry about that. Why I really like books is because they are, as Byron Beer Singh Beer says, they are a form of Sadh Sangat, right? And it's quite important that we get that kind of inspiration as well, right? Through books. Je aapa vadiya books padhange, vadiya books sunange, we will get good knowledge from them, right? And one of my favorite, or I call him a philosopher, but a businessman as well, Charlie Munger, who recently passed away. He says to make friends with the instructive dead, right? So make friends with those people who have passed away, and I believe that's a really important concept, right? Because a lot of people that are alive, they we do fall to the flaws of human nature, right? So they do have human nature flaws, but when you read their, like, if they've passed away, when you read their books, you're only getting the good, right? So you've already filtered out the bad and you're not focusing on the bad. But tera shraddha viswas bhi vadiya banda, right? There's a great story about a fakir and a Veshwa, right? And the Veshwa asked the fakir, she's like, is my kutte di poosh, is my dog's tail better or your dadi better, right? And the fakir doesn't give her an answer up until the point he's about to pass away. And then he says, Meri dadi changi hai, right? My beard is better, right? Because the fakir knows that up until the point you pass away, there's no guarantee that you might not slip, right? There's no guarantee that you might not fall away, right? So sometimes we do sangat of people we believe are great Gursikhs, and it turns out that they get caught up in something, right? Kyunki jehdi kaljuga maya hegi hai, it's very powerful, right? And it can take us off the path at any time. So the instructive dead, right, jehde people that have passed away, or jiਵੇਂ ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਖੀਆਂ, right? ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖਾਂ are a different story, but if we listen to their bhajan, if we go on their path, right, it will instruct us on the right path, because we know how they've lived their life, we know if they've already passed, right? So that's why I really enjoy reading their books. And the book that I want to share with you is the biography of Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji Mastwane Wale. And they recently just across the world, the Sangat celebrated their Barsi last weekend. And Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji Mastwane is that great Gursikh that when the British said that asi Gurmukhi Punjabi, we're going to wipe it out in the next 20 or 30 years, no one will be speaking Punjabi or Gurmukhi, Guru Sahib sent this great Sikh, Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji Mastwane Wale, to protect Sikhi, to make Sikhi thrive. उन्होंने अमृत प्रचार किते, उन्होंने वो गुरमुखी गुरबानी, they kept that spirit alive, right? They were a fearsome warrior, right? So just a few stories from their autobiography. First of all, their autobiography is written by Sant Baba Teja Singh, right? And Sant Baba Teja Singh, for those of you that don't know, is a double MA, double master's degree, right? So they have a master's degree from Cambridge and they have a master's degree from Harvard at a time when they were the first Sikhs at Harvard and probably at Cambridge. I'm not sure about Cambridge, but at Harvard, they were definitely the first Sikh, turban Sikh to attend Harvard, right? So उन्होंने West which BC which London which the first Gurdwaras that were made in the West was done by Sant Baba Teja Singh. And why Sant Baba Teja Singh is so important is because Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji is the one who like trained them, who sent them out to get this education, but they were a Puran Mahapurkh as well, right? So when you're reading autobiographies, there's like one type of autobiography that you read about like some sons where it's just like they did this on this date, they did this on this date, they did this year. And to be honest, I find those quite boring and I don't really take much away from them. But when you read like a jeevani of a Mahampurkh written by another Mahampurkh, you get practical life advice. Like the first chapter of Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji's book is like it's about Naam Simran Abhyas, right? And they give you like a jugti right away. Jiri Guru Gobind Singh Ji gives Mata Jito Ji, where it's like to hit your tongue on the top of your mouth when you're saying Guru, right? So why Guru and hit that, and that's when Guru Sahib was very happy with Mata Jito Ji. He told her to do that, right? So that was quite important, and that's just the type of things that you can take away from like Jiri Mahampurkha the book. And Sant Baba Ishar Singh Ji tells this to Sant Baba Varyam Singh as well, right? When they were like, someone wanted to write Sant Baba Ishar Singh Ji's Jeevani, right? And then Sant Baba Varyam Singh Ji was like, they want to write your Jeevani, what should we do? And Sant Baba Ishar Singh Ji's like, how can they write the ਜੀਵਨ of a sant, right? ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੰਤ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਪਤਾ, right? ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਕੀ ਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਜਾਣੇ. So that's why when another Brahmgyani writes an autobiography about another Brahmgyani, like they know what's going on and they can share that with the Sangat. And that's why like even like Sant Baba Seva Singh Ji, Rampur Khede Wale, when they write Sant Baba Harnam Singh Ji's, but we'll share those two books I think in later episodes, but Se Kanaiya and their Shabd Gur Pira, right? You can see like from their writing that like one, they're capable of writing about these experiences, but like it's very impressive the way that they write. So just a few stories that I really enjoyed from that book. One, Ekta Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji was a fearsome warrior, right? He served in the army and he was the number one sharpshooter in all of India. He won like awards for having the best nishana, right? So you can say Ekta nishane which you need to have concentration of mind. When someone fires a bullet, right? They hold their breath. Their mind has to be singularly focused, right? The Naam Simran Japata, they can hit the nishana, right? That's why they were the best shooter. That's why Sikhs in general, right? Even in like French publications, it says Sikhs are the best shooters in the world, right? And at that time when they were fighting the Sikhs, right, they had the best nishana. And even when you look at so there's an elite American force called the Delta Force, right? It's the top of the tier. They're called tier 1. Wherever like something needs to get done, they are sent, right? And they have very low casualty numbers, right? They go in and they just like completely wipe out whoever they're supposed to fight, to the point where like when they first went into Afghanistan, they sent in 10 of these guys, 10 of these Delta Force guys, and it is said that like in the Battle of Tora Bora, they like completely like almost wiped out like thousands, hundreds of thousands of the Taliban fighters. Obviously, there was some politics that were at play there, and the story's long, but they didn't want them necessarily to achieve their plan, and they wanted to drag out the war because it was more profitable. But these guys could have done it, right? Like they could have done it right then. They could have found bin Laden, and there's a lot of stuff that they could have done at that moment. But it just goes to show when they talk about the elite Delta Force, right? When they ask them what is the most important skill that differentiates Delta Force from any other force, and they say it's marksmanship, right? When we shoot, we don't miss. And that was by Atar Singh Ji Mastawane. The other thing is like you need to have lots of great conditioning, right? Like if you're breathing heavy, you're not going to be able to fire a gun properly, right? So when you're physically moving and you're breathing heavy, you can't fire a gun properly. So again, something that Baba Atar Singh Ji Mastawane, and like again to that stamina point, they used to say ki asi so ko is almost like a mile, right? I think it's almost like 2 kilometers, a little more than 2 kilometers maybe, but they would say ki we would walk that much overnight, right? Like going from Punjab to Hajur Sahib, rato raat turde si. And their method, which is like very good, is like with their left foot they would say Vah, and their right foot they would say Guru. And they said when we would do this, right, we would not get tired, right? So I really enjoyed that. And then another book called Bandagani Nama with Bhai Ranbir Singh Beer. They go through like their spiritual progression, right? And they talk about like when they meet that Paramjot, when they meet Paramatma, right? And what it feels like to them, right? But they say when they were a very young kid, they were one time listening to Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji do Kirtan and Simran, right? And they said Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji at that time said Jagdi Jot nu japo, Sangat Ji, Jagdi Jot nu japo. And the whole Sangat, Bhai Ranbir Singh Beer said ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ darshan ਹੋਏ ਸੀ at that time of the Param Jot, right, of Paramatma. in that Sangat of Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji, right? There's other stories as well, right? Like there's another story ki Sangat is sitting with Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji, and they have darshan, like the whole Sangat has darshan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's darbar, right? And Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji always used to say like Guru Sahib ta hajar nazara sade naal hi hai, right? So they like Guru Sahib's darbar when the kavis were there, when the warriors were there, ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਏ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੱਤ ਤਵੇ ਪਾੜ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਦੋਸ ਟਾਈਪਸ ਆਫ ਸਿੰਗਸ। ਸੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਏ। ਸੱਤ ਫਲਾਦੀ ਤਵੇ ਪਾੜ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਲਾਈਕ ਬਾਬਾ ਬਚਿੱਤਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਬਾਬਾ ਉਦੈ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਬਾਬਾ ਆਲਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਦਿਸ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਵਾਰੀਅਰਸ, ਬਾਬਾ ਮਾਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ। So they had darshan of all of them, right? Just being around Baba Atar Singh Ji. So it's a great book to listen to because it goes into a lot of practical advice of how to uh, progress on your spiritual journey, right? Another cool thing that I saw this week is there's a Sarbakala Samrath podcast, and they had Nahal Singh on, I think, a few weeks ago. But Nahal Singh is from Astuj handcrafts, so they make like I got a few dolls made from them as well, shields. They do a really good job of that. So if you ever need a doll, he's a good guy to go out to. But they did a video of how Puratan Singhs like tied their kamar kase, right? Because that's something that I didn't know, right? And most people don't know. Most people just go rap, right around. And I always had a problem with that because I found that one number like very restricting and very like hard to breathe, and Shastra भी नहीं properly ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, and some people even tie their kamar kasa like pretty high, like belly high, but the way that they go through it is, and they teach it is like that is the right way to tie a kamar kasa, right? You tie it on your kamar and it doesn't really restrict you. You can fit your shastra in really well. The shastras stay in place. So I would go check that out. I believe there's a Instagram clip as well, so I think that's where I saw it. So check that out because they go through how to tie a kamar kasa, right? And it's really insightful. I really enjoyed that. Also, the Super Bowl is this weekend, so any of you guys watching, not sure how it's gonna end up, but this time I think it'll be a good game. I think that it'll be probably a pretty close game. Most of them are. They've played each other before in this game, so when it's a repeat game, it's usually a close game. The first one was a close game, but I don't know. I think that the Eagles are hungry, but I also feel like the Chiefs have been hanging on. Like they've been winning a lot of these close games. I think for the Eagles to win, they do need to make it a little bit of a larger lead, and if it's a close game, I think the Chiefs might take it, but I'm going for the Eagles on this one, so hopefully the Eagles win. Not that it really matters in the end of the day, but yeah, let's see what happens. So we'll leave it off with this. Bhulna chukka nu maaf karna. Hopefully you guys take something from this podcast. Doing this podcast for me, it kind of like gives me a time to reflect, right? So it's kind of a therapy session in itself. So thank you for attending my therapy session. So Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji